I will not even desecrate Build Me Up Buttercup by playing it at the beginning of this video. That is how bad it is. I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to tell you right now that is going to make you feel any better. I sort of believe that from time to time, I've somehow pigeonholed myself in that role, in the sense that I have tried to, with logic and rationality as part of it, find the positives where I can, be it hockey, basketball, football, Christ, Leonard, Fickle. But right now, there is nothing I can say, and if I'm honest about it, nothing I can do that can make this any better. What we witnessed today on the Camp Randall Stadium field, a 27-10 loss that was not as close as the final score indicated, tells me everything I need to know about the Luke Fickle era. And holy balls, kids, did I get this one wrong. I am very guarded and I think to an extent meticulous in taking and making broad proclamations. I'm very careful, very conservative in that sense. Okay, when Luke Fickle took over, I was not one of the people that said national title Badgers in 3 years. It wasn't my take. I think I was very positive about it, given the accolades that Fickle had. It fooled 98% of people on the national level and probably a slightly smaller percentage of Madison. But I have seen enough. You heard me. I'm done making excuses and rationalizations for the state of this football program. One of the posts I just made on Twitter X, I said, little did we know that 2024 was the good old days. The worst Wisconsin season in almost 25 years was the good old days. I don't know how we got here, guys. I mean, I've made these arguments. The recruiting and, in some sense, the portal, there have been a lot of more misses and hits, but there's been some good pulls, too. It should be better than this. It's not. It's not better than this. I don't know. The answer is probably multi-layered and multifaceted. Yes, some of it is not having consistent starting quarterback play because of injuries. That's true this year. That's true. You had an injured Billy Edwards Jr. coming out there trying to save the day, and that was never going to happen. But I feel like at this time, based on what we just saw, a solid but not really that great Maryland program coming in and curb stomping Wisconsin and Camp Randall. This has to be put at the feet of Luke Fickle and his staff. There are clearly assistant coaches on this staff that are not Big Ten caliber. You heard me. I said it. There it is. That's a Luke Fickle thing, guys. I understand there's some budgetary issues. We're never going to compete with Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State as far as how much we pay our staff. But there's a big problem. There's a problem with development. I just kind of flipping around today because there were plenty of moments where that was a thing I'd rather do than watch Wisconsin. I see Texas Tech playing a backup quarterback, and he goes in and kicks the crap out of Utah on the road with a backup. Didn't miss a beat, guys. So I just, as much as I've made the argument isn't there for Wisconsin over this amount of games. The Wisconsin football program is a disaster class right now. It does not mean that it's in the same place as it was, for example, with Don Morton in 1989. It's not. There are a lot of talented players on this team. There were very few talented players on 89, but they were small, slow, and untalented. That is not true. There are NFL guys on this roster, maybe 6, 7, 8 of them. There are legitimate 4-star recruits on this roster. A lot of them. Almost 30 of them, or 20 of them, rather. Is there anything you saw today in that game at any point that made you feel like this program, although they had a rough one today, was heading in the right direction? I did not. And I am the most optimistic, or certainly close to it, of any Badger pundit you are going to find on the internet. And here I am. I have seen enough, guys. I will stop short of calling for Luke Fickell's resignation or firing him. I need more time to process this. But what I will do is, I am going to tell you that this team is cooked this season. There is no, it doesn't mean they can't win games. I'm telling you, there's no reason based on what I have seen to believe Wisconsin is going to win more than 1 or 2 games the rest of the year, and maybe not even that. At Michigan, loss. At Indiana, loss. At Oregon, loss. Ohio State, dear God, just keep us in the game enough to enjoy halftime. Illinois and Iowa, see anything today that leads you to believe we're going to challenge those teams when they come into Camp Randall? Illinois would have beat us by 30 today. It would have looked just like the 2022 game that got Paul Chryst fired. I have a lump in my throat saying these things. I am completely befuddled. And I apologize to each and every one of the Wisconsin fans the last 2 years that I've been calling crazy overreactors. You saw something I didn't, guys. Whether it was by happenstance or whether you're just better at reading the tea leaves than I am sorry. Now, the ones that are, I do need to say this, so I can, people who have hated me, who are nodding, patting me on the back now for admitting that, I can get you off my team again. 2 things are true. In 2022, the Paul Chryst, Jim Leonard, potential Jim Leonard head coach thing, that was trending in a very, very poor direction, and I do not think it would have been successful. Maybe in a different way than this. But that I'm not sold that was going to work. Chryst, if he had been retained, totally over NIL transfer portal era. The guy was not going to put up with this crap. That's why he's not a coach again, guys. You notice that? You notice how Jim Leonard's not a coach other than a position coach? He's a fantastic freaking college defensive coordinator and a fantastic freaking NFL position coach, and probably be a good DC too. He's not a head coach, guys. He's not a CEO. Wouldn't have worked. But also, Luke Fickell, I'm saying it. I'm sorry. Portions of 3 seasons. This is enough. I've seen enough. Like the guys in the elections when they're watching the returns coming. I've seen enough. I have seen enough for me to take the position that I don't believe Luke Fickell can get this done. This is a monumental, and it feels like I feel guilty about it in the sense of, like, if they go out and beat Maryland today, 24-17, am I saying these things? No, I'm not, but I'm going to be saying them at some point this season. It was just going to delay the inevitable. Sometimes the answer is right in front of your face, and you don't see it because you want so badly to believe that's not going to be true. And I took it hook, line, and sinker, folks. And I know a thing or two about football. I've been right is right about Greg Gard. And I've been that way for years and years and years. Fighting the fire guard people. I've been proven correct. Some of you are still going to argue I haven't been. But you're just dead flat wrong. He runs an outstanding Big Ten basketball program. In many of the same ways that Luke Fickell does not. Luke Fickell has better recruiting classes than Greg Gard. You know that? On paper? But games aren't played on paper. They're played inside big stadiums. And some of those stadiums sometimes have half the fans left in the fourth quarter. Worst jumper. I probably should have waited 24 hours to do this. I probably should have waited. It's a little too raw right now. But you know what? I need to say these things or they're going to be eating up inside. I have a Fitbit tracker. Not sure if any of y'all have that records heart rate and things like that. My heart rate watching this game today gave me what my Fitbit tracker is reading as 196 minutes of exercise. That is how high my heart rate was watching that debacle today. I'm sick emotionally about it, and I'm probably hurting myself physically. The good news is Wisconsin's not going to lose a game next Saturday, so I can recharge the battery. But Michigan is going to obliterate this team if they come into Ann Arbor looking anything like this. Here is the small sliver of door being opened with light coming in. I have seen seasons change on a dime for teams under Alvarez and Christ. So there is a mathematical possibility that happens here. But I am not going to promote that it is going to. That's the difference between yesterday and today with me. I will support this team until my dying day. Every kid in that team has my support. I like a bunch of them. There's some talented kids, some hardworking kids. They're being failed by their coach, not the other way around, guys. This coaching staff has failed these players. This Wisconsin team, as it is currently composed, with a different coach and different staff, would be a better team. It could be worse too. Look, if this were under Phil Longo's staff and Sam Houston with this team, I don't think they would be any better. It'd be worse. But holy balls, Wisconsin Badgers, what are we doing here? I can't freaking believe this. I can't ficking believe this. Thank you for listening and allowing me to vent. But guys, one more time so no one is confused about this. I have seen enough. If Chris McIntosh hasn't, under the radar, talked to his lawyers to look at this contract and buyout and see what's going on, he is failing his job as Wisconsin athletic director. Again, I am stopping short of saying he has to be fired. But I'm telling you, the writing looks like it's on the wall. It's a big buyout. But if I know a little bit about law that I know, most contracts have clauses where if you do get another job, and make no mistake about it, Luke Fickell will get another head coaching job. Just no question. He will. Ain't going to be in the Big Ten, though. That buyout, or pardon me, the amount he would receive would be an offset to what Wisconsin owes. You don't get to make both. So it isn't probably quite as bad as it looks on paper. I know there were some elements with Chris that it didn't end up being that much money, but there are some solid amounts locked into this. It's going to be a painful buyout. But guys, I am humiliated for this team. I am sick for these kids. I feel terribly for the fans. And I am sorry that I was wrong. Scary Alvarez is out.